What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to give you an overview of what happened with SoFi, go over some of the current data points and everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So SoFi did close 3.77% in the green, 31.9 million shares being traded, 44 is the average. And despite the somewhat okay volume, these are some of the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above 100,000, 3.15 million, 11.3 million, 1.69. Majority of the transactions today by big money, oddly enough, were sales, not necessarily buys. So based on what I've been saying throughout 2024, a lot of algorithmic trading has been plaguing SoFi, but today the broader market clearly was just buying. So the algorithms out there were buying, big money behind the scenes was kind of selling, as weird as that is. So once again, I feel like a lot of analysts have come out to start to say that there is going to be a continuation rally regardless of CPI data, which is again coming out on Thursday, January the 11th. So kind of interesting dynamic that is happening with SoFi, but regardless, fairly good. As I said in my video yesterday on some expectations for this week, the first couple days is going to be bullish purely based on SoFi's technicals. And then aside from that, it's going to be very much reliant on CPI. So I kind of do disagree with a lot of the analysts that are coming out as of right now, especially this individual that did kind of talk on how essentially CPI isn't really relevant and that there's going to be rate cuts later in the year, not necessarily sooner. So this guy came off as bearish in my opinion, but still, regardless, moving on from that though, definitely very interesting day, especially as well with SoFi putting out some pretty good news, and that was this. So SoFi takes home 3 awards in NerdWallet's 2024 Best of Awards, and ultimately it looks like right here we have selected SoFi as one of the best in banking and lending products. So I think SoFi is doing an absolutely phenomenal job of making a name for themselves throughout 2023 and clearly already into 2024. And this is the website right here. So NerdWallet under the checking account. So best checking overall or account overall. And there's others as well. But I think in general, this is fairly good and hopefully should really incentivize people to come over and become members. So when it comes down to this upcoming Q4 earnings, it'll be very interesting to see if they still continue the same level of growth as they have over the previous couple quarters on member growth, of course, because member growth is one of the big factors. If that goes up, products go up and everything. So that definitely will be a very interesting earnings. Aside from that though, another interesting thing that did happen today was shorts. Shorts did return 480.78 thousand shares. And this is abnormal because throughout the broader market, I always look at a lot of other stocks and a lot of other growth stocks. Today, shorts were doubling down pretty significantly, in fact. Whereas with SoFi, they clearly returned, maybe saw today's rally, the start of something bigger. And this is something I actually did say yesterday, that most likely there was going to be a FOMO rally behind SoFi leading up to their Q4 earnings, as what typically does happen, with the exception of their most recent Q3 earnings. That one was backwards. But regardless, there usually is a FOMO rally that does kind of kick in. So I feel like shorts are starting to catch on to that. So maybe this is why they did return some shares today. But 13.72% of the free float is being shorted. 122.76 million shares overall are being shorted. And cost to borrow average is 0.88%. So again, going back to this individual right here, even though he kind of was bearish, he did say that 2024 was going to be the year of shorts returning shares. So that might be a positive thing, clearly in combination with that new SEC transparency rule. So that definitely will really take away the incentive and the mysteriousness of shorts. So like I've said, I do anticipate shorts to kind of return some of their position, go from around 14% to maybe 10% within this quarter. So that should be fairly good. As far as options, $4.69 million in calls being purchased versus 1.82 million in puts. Sentiment wise, 51% of all the options being done today was optimistic and bullish. But of the call options that are being purchased, there is a anticipation for it to be above $9. So that's kind of good. Looking at the puts, it is anticipated for it to be sub around $8. So both kind of extremes when it comes down to that. Based on the technicals though, with it closing at $8.53, it is trading between this S1 and the pivot. So 810 is going to be that next strong support that you'll want to watch for it to hold throughout the rest of the week. Vice versa, 873 is going to be that next strong resistance that you'll want to watch for, maybe for it to even test as early as tomorrow, which, like I said, I do feel by the end of this week, it'll kind of land anywhere from around 880 to 920, unless CPI is very, very positive. Then you are going to see it propel very high, potentially between this R1 to this R2. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below, and potentially what's your price prediction leading into the upcoming Q4 earnings, like especially with FOMO, good CPI data, just the broader market continuing to rally. Do you think it is realistic to think it's going to be 1050? 11 or maybe 7. What's your viewpoint on that? Number of retail investors have been getting in today, and that is through the momentum indicator. And then looking at stochastic, you do see a bearish deviation, so red line above the black, but it is at 17, so that is considered oversold. So if there is a nice continuation of this rally in the broader market, you are going to see value investors rushing into SoFi. But so that should really help SoFi on the technicals, at least in the short term, to move it from the lower to the higher percentile of the Bollinger Band. Honestly, I have been very skeptical about the broader market in certain circumstances, but SoFi, with their upcoming Q4 earnings, technicals, a lot of the data points, I am very bullish on SoFi. But once again, as I have always said, I'm not a financial advisor. You guys always do your own due diligence no matter what. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? What have you been doing with SoFi? Once again, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And with all that said, I appreciate all of you watching.